Hey everyone, we had some anti-CBS humor at the Golden Globes.
And the award for most editing goes to CBS News. Yes, CBS News, America's newest place to see BS News.
I'm Rich Lowry of National Review, and you get that joke there? CBS. So what did the Tiffany Network do to deserve the shot taken at it at this glitzy cultural event where CBS used to be in good graces? Well, it all has to do with Bari Weiss, founder of the very successful Free Press, who's taken over editorial operations at CBS. And it seems as though everyone in the legacy media and the elite culture at large hates her, hates what she's trying to do at CBS, and is vested in her failure, up to and including that famous media critic, George Clooney. He told the publication Variety, quote, "Bari Weiss is dismantling CBS News as we speak," close quote. Now, there's no doubt Bari Weiss is a disruptor. She is not progressive. She comes from the middle politically, maybe a tick to the right of center, but she believes broadcast news has lost credibility and lost its edge. So she wants to change how CBS goes about its business. Now, all the critics must think the status quo at CBS is fine. They must think, and maybe it's true, I guess, that CBS Evening News is blowing everyone away. It's the top-rated broadcast news program without a doubt. Oh, sorry, hold on. Sorry, I'm sorry. I should take this. Yeah, hold on. Yeah. No, I'm recording right now. Yeah, I was just talking about it's. Wait, it's not number one. Okay, no, number two. No, it's not number two. Well, there are only three, so only three broadcast news. It's three. It's third. Okay, got it. Okay, actually, it's it's embarrassing. That was my producer there. It's actually third. It actually apparently a distant third. Yeah, this is what it says here. Fourth quarter 2025, you had World News Tonight. That's ABC, 7.8 million total viewers. NBC Nightly News, 6.2. Where's CBS? Where's CBS Evening News? Well, okay, here it is. 4 million total viewers. That is kind of a distant third. Okay, so the ratings haven't been particularly high, but at least people's trust in the media and outlets like CBS is really high, right? Hold on. Yeah. That's not what the data says. All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Apparently, survey data says the opposite. Yep. Here's a piece from Gallup, a reputable polling organization, from late last year, saying Americans' confidence in the mass media has edged down to a new low, with just 28% expressing a fair amount of trust in newspapers, television, and radio to report the news fully, accurately, and fairly. This is down from 31% last year and 40% 5 years ago. Okay, that's a bad general trend, but given that trend, CBS must be doing really well, right? It must be. It's a Tiffany Network. It must be the most trusted source in news. Hold on. Yeah. What? The Weather Channel? The freaking Weather Channel? Are you kidding me? The Weather Channel? Who's writing these scripts? It's not. It's actually not CBS. It's the Weather Channel. Yep, according to a YouGov poll last year, far and away people trust the Weather Channel more than these other sources. Let's see, for CBS. I know CBS is on here somewhere. CBS. Okay, it's plus 16. That's not terrible, right? And surely those people who trust CBS News, it must be evenly balanced between Republicans and Democrats, because this is a straight down the middle broadcast news network, right? You know what? Forget it. I'm not even picking it up this time. Let's just look at the data. These are Pew Research numbers. If you look at Republicans who trust the media, 35% trust CBS News. Not huge. Among Republicans who don't trust the media, only 9% trust CBS News. And then you look at Democrats who have a lot of trust in the media, 63% trust CBS News. Even among Democrats who don't have a lot of trust in the media, 28% trust CBS News. So starkly different numbers from each side. So this is clearly not a healthy news operation. Then you layer on top all the turmoil at the top of CBS News. As Variety pointed out the other day, since 2019, multiple senior editorial executives, 4 different presidents of CBS News. Since 2017, 5 different anchors named for CBS Evening News. Did anyone even know, by the way, that these guys who signed off in December were anchoring the CBS Evening News?
Finally, tonight, this is our last night anchoring the CBS Evening News.
So how does Weiss want to fix it or do it differently? Well, she laid it out in a memo when she took over. She wants journalism that reports on the world as it actually is, journalism that's fair, fearless, and factual, journalism that respects our audience enough to tell the truth plainly wherever it leads, journalism that makes sense of a noisy, confusing world, journalism that explains things clearly without pretension or jargon, and so on. Who could object to any of that? Well, apparently a lot of people, because the hits against Bari Weiss just keep on coming. There's the New York Times, there's the New Yorker, there's Variety, which is already pronouncing her basically a failure. Now, all these pieces, no matter how many different places they run in, all tend to focus on the same couple of incidents. One of them was when Weiss held a 60-minute segment that was a report on the prison in El Salvador where Trump sent illegal immigrants at the beginning of his term. This thing had gone through various review, gone through all the editing process, had already been promoted, and Weiss sees it at the last minute and says, hey, stop, I don't want to run this yet. Now, that's a tactical mistake, right? The process there was bad. I think that's forgivable when you're a new person in a new big job. But the idea is that she killed this to please her corporate masters or to please Donald Trump. And that seems completely untrue. At the time, she set out in a memo her thinking behind holding this piece. She said in a memo that Americans have lost trust in the media and said they're not crazy to have done so. And says, quote, to win back their trust, we have to work hard. Sometimes that means doing more legwork. Sometimes it means telling unexpected stories. Sometimes it means training our attention on topics that have been overlooked or misconstrued. And sometimes it means holding a piece about an important subject to make sure it is comprehensive and fair. So Weiss wanted on-air statements from Trump officials discussing their decisions here and also wanted more reporting. That seems perfectly reasonable, right? Now, CBS is not able to get the on-air comments from Trump officials, but Trump administration statements are included in the piece. Weiss also wanted additional reporting. Additional reporting is included in the piece about the criminal background of the deportees, certainly relevant, about their tattoos, which is a big question in this controversy. Then the piece runs longer and better than it was before. What's the problem here? And then the critics of Weiss make a huge deal in all these pieces about the initial flubs out of the gate on the first night of Tony DeCapoli, her choice to anchor the CBS Evening News.
All right, to other news, as you just heard from Jill. Well, to other news now, to Governor Walz. No, we're going to do Mark Kelly. First day.
Okay, not great, kind of embarrassing, right? Why did that happen? Well, reportedly it's because Weiss was fiddling with the script at the last minute and led to this teleprompter flub. But you know what's never going to happen again? She's never going to fiddle with a script at the last minute again. This again falls into the category of tactical mistakes from someone who's new to the job. But she is a very talented woman and she's going to learn, and she's not going to do that again. Another thing a lot of these pieces mention is that she supposedly exchanged kisses on the cheek with Donald Trump when he was doing an interview with CBS. And this is portrayed as some terrible thing, like a mafia sign of loyalty or something, as though journalists don't schmooze with powerful people all the time because they can be sources, because they can come on your shows and say interesting things. These people make it sound as though they never heard of the Gridiron Dinner, an institution that is based on media figures schmoozing with powerful politicians. Then these pieces usually include all sorts of anonymous quotes with personal criticisms of Weiss, including the idea that she's overly ambitious. But has there ever been a head of CBS News who wasn't ambitious? That pretty much goes with the territory. But something is clearly going on here. You got this outside criticism, but it is driven by internal resistance from people who are vested in the old ways of doing things at CBS and want to make Bari Weiss fail. The Variety piece I mentioned just a minute ago, this basically pronounces her already a failure, encourages staff at CBS to resist her. Variety says, hyperbolically, there's been a cascade of recent errors at CBS News, and says that they have eroded CBS News' value and credibility and can only be fixed if producers and reporters challenge Weiss more regularly. Now, such challenges, depending on the spirit in which they're offered, depending on the context, can be productive, but that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is resistance to Bari Weiss and attempting to make her fail at all costs. Now, I'll just say a couple things about this. One, where were all the critical mainstream media pieces about all the people who are driving CBS News into the ground prior to Bari Weiss showing up? Two, any of the people writing these pieces, sources for the pieces, have any of them started a media organization from scratch that turned out to be hugely successful and that was then sold for $150 million, as Bari Weiss did as part of this CBS deal? No. Maybe she knows what she's doing. Or maybe if there's some rocky moments here at the beginning, she's going to figure it out. Three, all this ultimately is driven by people who are very comfortable in the media bubble as it's traditionally existed and can't stand the idea that perhaps going forward, CBS News is going to write stories that upset one side of the political spectrum and write and run stories and broadcast stories that upset the other part of the political spectrum the way it's supposed to work. And I think if CBS is different, if CBS is actually fair and in contrast to the other broadcast networks, that'll be a good thing for CBS and a good thing for the culture of our news generally. So I don't care what the haters or the critics say. We should want Bari Weiss to succeed. I'm Rich Lowry, over and out.